Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan Borkowski. I'm a mechanical systems engineer at Carrier Corporation and a former student at Coastal Carolina Community College. Like many of you watching this, I attended the Introduction to Engineering course at Coastal Carolina, taught by Mr. David Wynena, and I had the opportunity to interact with engineers, kind of like what we're doing here, only in person. This was about 7 years ago. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience at community college, university, and then my job search and where I'm at now. So I'll try not to take up too much of your time. So my experience at Coastal Carolina Community College was really important to my academic growth. After graduating high school, I spent about 12 years in the Marine Corps. So Coastal really served as a foundation for me. So if you've been out of school for a while, I hope you can take something away from this today. And if you're fresh out of high school, then just know that your time at Coastal will be an absolute asset for you in the future. So when I was sitting in your shoes, I was pretty sure that I wanted to study engineering. I wasn't sure what type. I wanted to study what I didn't really know what engineers did or really how I was going to do it, but I knew that I wanted to. So, the Introduction to Engineering course did a great job of painting a picture in my head of, what different engineering disciplines are responsible for, the type of work they do, how that translates into real world jobs. So I specifically remember my individual presentation. I did it on coastal engineers and what they do, shoreline restoration, dredging, jetties, stuff like that, all super interesting stuff. Later on in my course, a team and I, we modified just a normal garden sprinkler for the water to reach further. Even without having fluid mechanics under our belt, we were able to understand that, by increasing the pressure, we'd be able to get higher velocity. Turns out the Bernoulli equation governs this. So engineering was, pretty awesome at this point. And the best part of the course, you're now an engineering student. Later on, I found out that this course, is also transferable to North Carolina universities. So that's another plus. So back to Coastal, I think I took this my first summer there. I had just gotten through pre-calculus algebra and trigonometry, and I know math can feel like a gateway when it comes to studying engineering. I know it can be super intimidating for some, but luckily, you've got it made at Coastal. So take advantage of your smaller class sizes, ask questions, get the one-on-one time with your instructor. Learning calculus at a community college is, to me, I think, is an opportunity. You have instructors that really want to see you succeed. So, when I got to UNC Charlotte, I felt 100% prepared for anything that came my way, mostly because of Coastal. I knew how to ask the right questions, how to seek help, tutoring. At times I think maybe I was better prepared than some of the traditional students. So, but I mean, they could have gone to Coastal too. They just chose not to, right? So, but that's enough about academics. You're all engineering students now, and I'll talk a little bit about my experience transferring to UNCC. So when I left Coastal, I had graduated with an associate's in science degree. So not all of you will. Some of you might transfer early, which is great. And some of you might stick around for Calculus 3, differential equations, and maybe you'll earn an associate of engineering degree. But luckily, any of those curriculum core classes that you take at Coastal, transfer to the North Carolina universities. So now you choose your discipline, you get accepted to a school. You graduate and get a job, right? Is that easy? Well, yeah, I mean, it is. It's just, maybe it's not that simple though, but it can be easy. Again, build that foundation at Coastal, good study habits, work ethic, surround yourself with achievers, just like yourself. Like I said earlier, it all started at Coastal for me. University wasn't much different than community college, just more math and science. Awesome, right? In my case, transferring with an associate's degree, I was exempt from, general studies. So, I already had the associate degree. I didn't have to take any more general studies at the university. So all I took was math and engineering courses for 3 years. I think I probably could have done it faster, but I chose to take, 12 to 14 credit hours per semester. Talk to your counselors when you transfer, do what's right for you. University is cool because, you're exposed to tons of information, so much stuff that, maybe you'll find something you're interested in. I didn't particularly, but, that's okay. I wasn't super interested in one subject or another. But that was fine because I wasn't zeroed into any particular industry when I started looking for work. I was open for anything. So, before I talk about my experience job searching, I did want to hit on on a related subject, and that's networking and internships. Take the opportunity to join clubs, student chapters of engineering societies, things that you're interested in. You'll get a chance to meet engineers, work in the industry, network, meet people, exchange emails, phone numbers. Apply to the summer internships and even consider a co-op that might extend your graduation. But it'll provide you with really important experience before you graduate. So I didn't do any of this, and that's okay. But if you put yourself out there, work some internships, get some experience, you might have an easier time finding full-time employment after graduation than I did. And again, I saw that firsthand with a lot of students that I studied with. They did internships and they had a very easy time finding work. Like I said, I didn't do any internships. So I started my job search at the beginning of my senior year. So like August of 2019. Everything in the corporate world, so I found out, happens at a snail's pace. So start early. There's a lot of students still looking for full-time work after they graduated because, they didn't take this seriously. I think I graduated with 100 or more mechanical engineers. But, this is just one school, right? Like every school in the nation has graduating class in May. So, but luckily there's thousands of engineering jobs that need to be filled. Not trying to scare anybody, but even starting my job search almost a year before graduation, by the time I got an offer, it was to start a month after I graduated. So just from my experience, early is better. I applied to maybe 100 different jobs over, 6 months or so. I got a few interviews. And now, mind you, this was right before the pandemic happened. So I'm sure companies they were a little maybe not wanting to hire at that time. But, looking back, I wish I would have networked better. It's much easier to get a job when you have that experience or somebody at the company. And that's another big thing. But, if not, still can be done. You just have to, put in more applications and be persistent about it. So also, a little word of advice, be flexible, So I'm kind of old and set in my ways. So I really wanted to stay in Charlotte. And somehow that worked out for me. But I interviewed, in a couple different states actually for a few different jobs, and what was most important to me was working. Again, it was a kind of weird time when I graduated, so hopefully, when you graduate, it'll be a lot better. Again, everyone has their preferences. Be yourself. Show employers that you think like an engineer. Ask questions. Remember that even the hiring managers are people too, just like us. So ultimately, I interviewed with Carrier Corporation in Charlotte, North Carolina. I applied for a graduate hire position. So they actively look for student like sorry, not students, but like fresh graduates right out of college. The position I applied for had gotten filled, but a recruiter reached out to me anyway, and they told me that there was another position with another hiring manager. So, that was a surprise, but people are looking, people look out for you if you get your resume out there. So I completed a screening interview with a recruiter. I had to send in a video of myself answering some questions. I conducted a technical interview via phone, and then I went for a series of one-on-one interviews on site. And I'll say that I was really surprised that when I did the one-on-one interviews, it was mostly just employees asking me like about my experience, what I was interested in, who I was, more so than technical questions. I mean, they were, potentially, bringing me into their team, and they wanted to know more about me. The one person that did ask somewhat difficult technical questions turned out to be someone I work with daily now, the engineering lead that I work with every day. So, some people ask the hard questions. Some just want to get to know you. So now I work in new product development, and I design, test, build, and air-cooled water chillers. So chillers utilize the refrigerant vapor cycle to remove heat from water. And the water is used for both comfort and process cooling. So you'll see air-cooled chillers on rooftops or behind commercial buildings. They're pretty recognizable by the V-shaped condensers that are usually on top of the chiller. I'm going to wrap this up. So, in the last couple of minutes of listening to me talk, I went from being in your position, in the engineering, intro to engineering class to, all the way to where I'm at now, designing chillers for a Fortune 500 company. I know it seems like a lot, and it kind of is, but it's progressive. I talked about building my foundation at Coastal, and I stand by this. Mr. Juanena, when he asked me if I would put something together for you guys, I couldn't turn him down. He and the other instructors at Coastal, they did so much for me to help me succeed. I want to make sure you all recognize that with the tools you're being handed today, at Coastal, taking the next steps to studying engineering and becoming an engineer, it's going to be easy. And, I wish everyone good luck, good luck through the summer. And if anybody has any questions, I will leave my contact information with Mr. Juanena, email and LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out. All right. All right. Thanks for your time, everyone. All right, bye.